What's happening, y'all? It's me coming at you again with another vid. Ah, man, the saga continues. All right. Well, Andre Ryabinsky had came out today, and he claims, I should say, that his client, his fighter, Alexander Povetkin, is now been cleared from any wrongdoing based on the new test results that was conducted by VADA. And this is what he had to say, and this is the article from Sky Sports journalist Isaac Robinson. Shout out to him, by the way. It says here, quote, the sample taken a week earlier also, I'm sorry, wrong quote. This is a statement from Ryabinsky. The new doping test of the Russian boxer Alexander Povetkin taken on May 17th showed no traces of meldonium. This was reported today by the VADA, which is the voluntary anti-doping agency, with reference to results of the analysis conducted by the laboratory in Los Angeles. The sample, I'm gonna leave, that was Ryabinsky's quote, but here's another thing I want to say from the article. Nonetheless, the sample taken a week earlier also lacked traces of meldonium, but it showed it. Thus, only one of Povetkin's 6 samples revealed extremely low concentration of the prohibited drug. Now, here's the thing that this is really mind-boggling. Now, those 3 negative results, it's just hard to, very difficult to negate that. And Ryabinsky has never ever refuted those claims. He's never addressed the situation on why those other 3 tests came up negative. And all of a sudden he came up positive, referring to Povetkin, that he came up positive on the 4th test. He never addressed why, in this particular article, why did he not address the B sample? Why didn't he address that? So here's the thing I got to say here. Some of these people are arguing about these lower traces amount. They're arguing about the legal limits and all that. But here's the thing that some of these people are arguing that case for Povetkin had neglected. One is that argument will only work if an athlete tested positive before March 1st. This is an ordinance to WADA. This is according to their regulations addressing the meldonium situation. If an athlete tests positive for the legal limits or the lower legal limits, I should say, or the legal limit of meldonium, that will be kind of a rescinded test, or in other words, they'll be testing clean before March 1st. But after March 1st, if an athlete tests positive for meldonium for any traces of amount whatsoever, they will be investigated, meaning that you failed the test. Povetkin had tested clean 3 times, in April 7th, April 8th, and April 11th, which means that's way after the March 1st deadline. So April 27th, he tested positive. Then a week later, he tested positive on his B sample. Wow. Now, yeah, this is only Ryabinsky who's making this claim. We haven't seen a claim. We haven't heard anything from VADA. They haven't came out and validate Ryabinsky's remarks or his statements about this whatsoever. So until they come out and making a statement about it, then okay, fine. All right. But needless to say, I just can't believe all these apologists for Povetkin can negate that very fact. This guy had passed 3 tests before he failed the 4th one. And in fact, they neglected the other key pieces of information there, that anybody who tests after March 1st will be investigated for this particular drug, which occurred with Povetkin. Now, if he had tested positive for the legal limits before March 1st, he would have been okay. He would have been clean. He would have been ready to go. But I just cannot get over those 3 tests that he passed. I can't get over that. And the fact that Ryabinsky keeps claiming that this is only a traces amount left in his blood, but why the hell did it come up in his urine? Man, you just can't make this stuff up. You really can't. And the thing is, too, is that, to be honest with you guys, I really want to see this fight. I really do. But the problem is Povetkin failed that B sample. Once you fail the B sample, that's it. It's the end of story. It's a wrap. Case closed. All right? In a situation like this, a fighter would be immediately banned, or if they're the champion, they would be immediately stripped of their title. Just like what happened to Lucas Brown, what the WBA had to do. So that, to me, is very disturbing that the WBC is taking taking so long to investigate this and come up with a ruling. All right. Now, perhaps, I can only speculate here. I can only speculate that maybe they're, meeting with Ryabinsky and his team, and they're trying to work out a deal to, to keep this quiet, to keep this under wraps, whatnot. But given the fact that Ryabinsky came out and made these claims, it's kind of hard for the WBC to make this work, if you ask me. So now Ryabinsky is tending to sue Wilder and his team for, backing out of the fight. But another thing is, the only problem is that Wilder and his team didn't cancel the fight. It was the WBC that canceled to postpone the fight. So Ryabinsky need to take his case to that sanctioning body. That's what he should do, not sue Wilder and his team for pulling out, for going back to to the States and regroup and get their voluntary defense. And besides, it was the WBC who granted Wilder the voluntary defense while this whole thing clears up. So Wilder's going to have a fight coming up, not Povetkin. So, yeah. So this is damage control written all over this, and he didn't even address the clean test results. Even the interviews the previous interviews he gave regarding this, the first failed drug test, he didn't even address the positive, not the positive, the negative test results from the first 3 negative test results before his client failed the 4th one. And yet he's not even addressed the B sample, which came out last week. So, and another thing I got to say too, there's one guy out there who, he now makes videos and he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, he likes to wish death upon people if they disagree with him, and then he calls people names. He changes his name, and then all of a sudden he changes his name to something else. He's making videos, and he questioned Dan Raphael's journalistic credibility. He's saying that his reporting is borderline yellow cake journalism, whatnot, which I find laughable. But here's the thing: I would say one thing's first. Dan Raphael has been reporting boxing for a very, very long time. Now, why would he put his journalistic integrity on the line if he reports something that's so fabricated to your mind? Okay. Now, this particular individual wanted to question this Dan Raphael's reporting, saying where are the quotes from these very people, from these very sources? Where are the quotes? Well, there is one particular individual that he did name in one of his articles about this Povetkin failed drug test saga. And that's Dr. Margaret Goodman, who's the director of VADA. Now, he named her as one of his sources in his previous articles. So she should have seen that article. And this article came out 2 weeks ago. And I'm sure she reads the papers. I'm sure she reads the news. She reads the stories that come about. Now, she even said in that very article that VADA does not stipulate or make up rules whatsoever when it comes to fights, sanctioned fights, whatnot. The only thing they're there to do is test the fighters' blood and urine samples, and then when they come up with their findings, they'll report it to the sanctioning bodies, and they'll make their decision. Okay, that's what she said. In fact, again, her name came up in that article. Now, this is logical common sense. If she was lying, if Dan Raphael was inaccurate with his reporting, then why would he name Dr. Margaret Goodman as his source? In fact, that very quote in that article about the Povetkin drug test the first time around came about. Now, if Dan Raphael was wrong here, if he was inaccurate, then Dr. Margaret Goodman would have refuted those claims by now. Think about it. VADA would have refuted those claims, but not one representative from VADA refuted any of Dan Raphael's reporting so far that I've seen. Not one. I know I'm just jabbering on. I'm not jabbering. I'm just rambling on about this whatnot. But yeah, I'll leave a link to the article below, and I'll let you guys come to your own conclusion about this. Before I end this video, let me just throw out a little hypothetical here. Let's say if the WBC does reach out to Wilder and his team, and they all get together, with Povetkin's team along with Ryabinsky, they all come together with an agreement. But before they come to that agreement, if Wilder does say, okay, you know what, I'll go ahead and defend my title against Povetkin, but only on certain conditions. And these are the stipulations that I would add. And this is Deontay Wilder. If I were in his shoes, I would say, you know what, I'll fight Povetkin, but this is what has to be done. 1, I get to select the location of the fight. 2, I get to select the venue. 3, I get to choose the style of gloves. 4, I get to choose the ring size. 5, Povetkin needs his purse to be deducted, and that deduction goes to me. So I get an increase in my purse, and Povetkin gets a reduction. I think that's fair to Povetkin, because if he wants a world title shot, then he needs to give up those concessions, given the fact that you failed not only one drug test, but you also failed the second drug test. If he wants that title shot, I think that's fair. Okay? Now, Ryabinsky's going around talking about, I'm going to sue Wilder and his team. Well, you need to take your case with the WBC, because they're the ones who canceled the fight and have to reiterate. They're the ones who postponed the fight, not Wilder and his team. So you need to really, this guy, man, it's just the arrogance of some people, man. I just can't believe it. And, you know, and let's be all truthful here. Ryabinsky now coming out with these claims is now giving more fuel for the other, for Povetkin apologists to come out and try to refute Dan Rafael in his reporting. So, yeah, very, very, very. As I said, the saga continues. But let me know what you think, y'all. Care to comment, share, subscribe. Signing off. Peace.